on, y'all? Back for another squad toss tonight with JBM Design Company.
Mike T's.
Seek Paris 12 Gone Apparel. Go and introduce yourself, brother.
What's going on, everybody? I'm JBM Design Company.
Man, appreciate you talking, man. Coming out with us to talk to us. So I'm going to just jump straight into a question, man. Tell us about your beginnings. How'd you get started in this industry?
It's crazy how I got started off printing because it wasn't my actual goal. I was stationed in Texas, El Paso, for a year with the military over at Fort Bliss. And I was trying to shadow one of the guys that was DJing some of the clubs out there. And I wanted to, get a feel for the music, get a feel for the people, because it's not the same as over here on the East Coast. It's night and day when it comes to the music. So I shadowed him at a club from like 9. He told me he was going to be working from 9 at night until like 2 in the morning. So I showed up early. I wanted to watch his setup. I watched everything. And he was giving me pointers throughout the whole night. Everybody's just feeding you free drinks. And that's one of the things you do. You take the drink, just don't drink it. You can sip it. The last thing you want to do is be scratching, and you start messing up the music. This is actually the board right behind me that I bought when I was there, because I was gonna go out and just start mixing in some of the clubs. But some of the advice that he gave was like, yeah, man, if anybody comes up to you and offers you a gig, private party at their house, and they offer you something like $2,000 a night or something, just don't take it. And I'm looking at him like, $2,000 a night?
Excuse me, yeah, don't take that.
He was like, don't take it, man, because you don't know whose house you're going to end up at. You don't know whose party you DJing. And the last thing you want to do with that kind of party is mess up the mix. So just don't take it. And he was also military. He's I believe he said he was from New York. But to cap off that story, I never DJed, because that bit of advice that I got was like, you know what, I'm just going to take this mix in my room where I was staying at, and I'm just going to mix to myself. But I was trying to come up with DJ names, and I was like, I need to wear a shirt to market myself as a DJ. And I actually wrote down a bunch of DJ names, sent it off to my friends and family. What do you think of all these names? Because I was going to get shirts made, but I had no idea on how you got a shirt made. I didn't know the process. I didn't know the resources, anything. My sister up in New York has a business, and she also had a store online where she would get her merch made. So I contacted her and asked her about who's making her shirts. That's when I learned about Shopify and all the online e-commerce stores. So that's how I started. I set up a Shopify e-commerce. It didn't last long because I learned about the profit margins, how much it costs. For example, it was costing me like $18 to make one of the shirts that I had, and I only made about a $4 profit off of it. So I didn't understand how these YouTube influencers were saying that you can make all this money off of Shopify, this, that, and the other, when it cost me so much up front to get the shirt. So before my time ended in El Paso, there was a lady back home that had all the equipment that I needed to screen print shirts. So I got in contact with her before I came back. We agreed on the price, but she was like, I want you to just look at everything first before you say you want to buy it. So when I came back home, I looked at all the equipment. I already knew what price she wanted, and I had the cash in hand because I knew that I wanted to jump into it. And she had like this all-in-one screen print setup, everything except the conveyor dryer. So I bought the equipment, and I just started screen printing. I didn't start selling the stuff right away because I wanted to get the screen printing under my belt. So I wasn't officially in business until January 2020. That's when I felt it was time to go ahead and go in business, start selling my stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much how I got into the t-shirt business. I knew nothing about how shirts are made. I knew nothing about screen printing. I knew nothing about the Cricut or the Silhouette, and I knew nothing about DTG. When I hit Google on how shirts are made, DTG is the first thing that came up, and it was the free jet, Omni Print free jet. So I thought that's how all shirts are made.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, so this is how shirts are made. I need to just go ahead and think about how I can invest into this printer so I can get started making shirts. And then I found out the price tag was like $25,000 because you got to get the printer, you got to get the box that sprays the what's it called, the
Pre-treat.
solution, the pre-treat, which is probably what extra $2,000 or $4,000 or something. So everything all
Yeah.
together, then you got to get a heat press. You're looking at about $25,000 or up somewhere around there for a whole setup. I didn't
Yeah.
have $25,000, so I'm trying to like make sense to myself on how I can get it, so I can get into the t-shirt business. So I started following YouTubers, and that's where I found Catspit Productions. I found um, the Print Life, Cam over there at the Print Life. And then as I continue watching, I found T-Shirt Chick, Juan with Liberty Graphics, Rye Beats.
Yep.
And these are people that I still watch today and I still learn from today. And that's why I like to thank them all the time that I'm either on their lives or whenever they do a video or something. I like to give them a shout out
Excuse me.
or a quick
Definitely
thank
big
you
salute to them.
because they helped me get to where I'm at right now.
Mm-hmm.
So you said you were going to be a DJ.
Yeah.
So do you make beats at all?
Well, the DJing was just something for me to do for fun. I don't actually DJ. I don't do it for money. It was something to do in my spare time because at the end of my work day in Texas, I didn't always want to go back to my room. I wanted to get
Yeah.
out and do something. So I went and bought this while I was there, and then I started downloading a bunch of music off of Serato. Well, Serato is a program.
Yeah.
There's another website where you can download all the music. But I started downloading all the music and just started putting all my mixes together, whatever. But as far as music, yeah, I'm an instrumentalist and I actually write music.
Oh, that's dope.
Thank you for being in the military, man. We appreciate and salute your services.
Period.
Yeah,
I have to say that again. No, I said it before we got on, but that's
yeah, thank
it's
y'all for the support.
Just a braver man than I am, I tell you.
No,
That's for sure.
yeah.
So, man, I want to go back to that Shopify. Outside of there not being any profit in it, how was the experience otherwise?
The experience for me at Shopify, one, it was easy to set up. Like I set up my whole store by myself, knowing nothing about these e-commerce platforms. I thought their product selection, as far as what shirts you can get, whatever you're trying to sell on your store, I felt like their selection was decent. And I did do enough research to know whether I want to go with Shopify or if I wanted to start with some other e-commerce site. And I just narrowed it down to Shopify, and I narrowed down my printer to Printful. At the
Oh,
time,
yeah.
they said Printful was more expensive, but they said that they were a better service fulfillment provider. So I just went with Printful. But as far as my experience, all of my shirts, I believe they printed it as DTG.
Uh-huh.
And I guess the only downside with using Shopify is the shipping times. Like for the people that bought any of my shirts that I put online, it just took a long time for them to get their shirts. Like
Mm-hmm.
I put together a military fellowship shirt on my Shopify stores. I was still in Texas, and the person that I was talking to was actually back here in Virginia. So I designed them this shirt, put it on my e-commerce store to let everybody know where they can buy it. And they were trying to have these shirts by a specific date. So I had to give them a cutoff time that was way in advance before their event to say, hey, if you want to have your shirts by this time, you might want to have your last person order by this date, which was probably about 2 weeks before the event.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like I had no control over that.
Mm-hmm.
So when customers or anybody come back and you're like, yo, when this shirt coming? What's taking so long? Like I can log on from my account page, and I can see the status of Printful as far as where they're at in the printing stage. And sometimes certain jobs they'll be sitting in queue for days before it gets to the next step. All right, now we're doing quality control. Now we're doing packaging. Well, it'll be sitting in printing for days before it even gets to quality control, and I'll be sitting there looking at it like my stuff isn't moving. I understand it's a big company and they service a lot of people, but I don't feel like my stuff is moving. So the difference now is that I have complete control over that, being that I print for myself. So even though I tell people your turnaround time is going to be up to 2 weeks, and probably a week, and then I might give it to them in 3 days.
Yeah.
So
that's the best policy.
Yeah.
JBM's Virginia, I believe. Am I saying that right?
JBM, Texas. Yeah, I'm in Virginia. I was stationed in Texas, but I'm in Virginia.
A while back, you did that 757 design, and that thing took off. It skyrocketed. I seen you from the time you made that video to how it just kept going up and up, and I'm like, man, a genius. Where did that come from? I mean, I know you from Virginia, but what made you put that concept together?
You talking about the hoodie?
It was gray, and it had 757, but the 757 had like slashes. It was like spaces in the 75. So the 7 had like lines through it, and it was 5-7.
It was a T-shirt or a hoodie?
I believe it was a T-shirt.
Yeah, I did a 757 T-shirt. I really don't know what the view count was on that, because I did a hoodie that really went viral, and the hoodie for me was where the door has opened, like full circle. The door has opened as far as me being monetized on YouTube, me having the subscriber count, companies contacting me for being affiliates and stuff like that. That one hoodie, that one video is where for me the door just completely opened. So now when I tell people, or when I hear people saying they're looking for a certain amount of subscribers, or they're looking for this or for that, I like to say, listen, I only say this because I can attest to it, but it takes one video to skyrocket, and everything else is going to fall in place.
Definitely.
So keep making content. You don't know which one is going to hit, but just keep making the content.
Yeah, your channel went from 0 to last time I looked, you had over 8,000 subscribers, man, like real quick.
Yeah. I want to say it was like November time. I don't know when I made that hoodie video, but when I made the video, I think I had like 100 subscribers.
Yeah.
And
that was when I seen when you first posted, because I've been subscribed to your channel for I think the second video you put out. And
the thing about the video is I was noticing the numbers rolling in. I was noticing the subscribers coming because my phone would just ding. And then people would ask me all these questions and everything. And at the time, I was like, yo, what is going on? I don't know. Like, what was so special about the video? So what I did was I tried to go back and study the video to figure out what I did. Like, what is it about this video that's just going crazy? Is it the actual material? Is it my mood in that video? And it's funny because my sister, she was like, yeah, in that video, I kind of noticed like so many personalities. It was your personality that was like fun, funny, the person that was like whatever. And she was like, and then you was in pajamas. That's what you're talking about, right? When I was in pajamas.
Yeah,
she was like,
you was also explaining it though. You was step by step explaining what you was doing, man. And that's what that's what gravitated me towards. I'm like, man.
Yeah, well, I don't like watching. Well, I take it back. I'm not gonna say I don't like watching videos with no explanation. But me starting out, I needed an explanation. When I, because like I said, I didn't know what silhouette or cricket was. I didn't know what vinyl and how to put all this stuff on the shirt was. So it's one thing when you watch a video, and at the end of the video, they come out with a nice design, but you still confused on how you got to that point.
Right.
So I remember reading comments in one of my videos. Somebody was like, hey man, just make the shirt. You talk too much. I was like, well, you one person out of these other people, and I actually thought about the comment. I was like, I don't know, should I talk less, or am I getting across to more people by actually explaining how to do the things that I'm doing? So I just continued doing what I was doing, being me, and just explaining the process. So for the
JBM.
people that get something from my channel, my content, those are the people that, you know, will ride with me.
But the giving an explanation on why, I believe that's really one of the main reasons why your channel blew like it did. So
Yeah.
quick. You came a long way in a short time.
Right.
And it's like, but like you were saying about, you never know what video is going to go. That's definitely true. YouTube is temperamental as far as, because you'll put out the best video you think you've ever done and it'll get 100
Exactly.
views. But then some you don't really care about will get 10,000 views. You never know. You know, so it's like, so like as far as the YouTube, what made you go to be a YouTuber?
When did I even start YouTube? I think I started my YouTube channel like around May, June, or something like that. And that, for that reason, is why I wanted to start a YouTube, was to share all the information that I was getting from these other content creators or screen printers. Because I was out there researching for information. I was out there looking for how do you make shirts. And when I started, what I found was DTG.
Mm-hmm.
And for people that were to it and they come across a price tag attached to DTG, for some people that's an automatic out. It's like, nah, 25,000, 20,000, 15,000 just for the printer, I'm out.
Yeah.
So I wanted to share the knowledge that I learned it as I learned it and give it right back out in a way that I felt like people could understand and relate to.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say that, I want it to be broken down in a way that I wanted it to be broken down for me. So if I want things to be ABC, you know, 1, 2, 3, dress right. Well, it's military. Dress right, dress. That's how I want to give it back to my subscribers or anybody that's watching my videos. I don't want to say anything, and then when I'm done, you still got questions.
Right.
So do you think your military background plays a part in the way you deliver your YouTube videos?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So I would say for some people, that could be like death by PowerPoint, nails on the chalkboard, like, oh my God, get to the point, just press the shirt. I understand, I get it. But I guess the military background is like, I'm going to tell you how this is done, why it's better to do it this way opposed to this way, and what results you may come out with if you don't do it this way. Or that's just my approach. And I think for the person that'll watch my video from beginning to end, they'll get a better grasp of it, better understanding. And I can't teach for so much because I'm still learning. It's so much to learn in the t-shirt game, t-shirt printing. No matter what printing method you're doing, there's so much to learn.
Period.
So, and they come out with new stuff all the time, so we're still learning.
Seems like every day something
Period.
new.
Right.
Period.
Let's look at these comment sections up. Let me see. Ginger Snap says,
so deep. What's going on?
Do you strictly do screen printing?
Do I strictly do screen printing? No, I do screen printing. I do heat transfers. I do sublimation. I wanted to get into embroidery, but I've tried to make sense of my next big purchase, and it was either going to be embroidery or I was going to update or upgrade my screen printing press. I really need to upgrade my screen printing press because I'm limited as far as what I can do screen printing wise. So I'm going to jump into a bigger press next. But yeah, I do screen printing, sublimation, and heat transfers, vinyl, stuff like that.
What's up, Anthony? What's up, Ginger Snap? My fault.
I'm sorry, I was about to just say I saw some comments in here. So Deep said, just being me. You are a great teacher and instruct well.
That he do. And very plainly, very well spoken.
So Deep said JBM takes time when presenting and teaching. He is awesome. Ginger Snap. We just asked that. So Deep also said it is such a blessing when folks share knowledge. My screen jumped because somebody commented. It's such a blessing when folks share knowledge. He is very structured. Yeah. The educated natural said, from one vet to another, thank you for your service.
Thank you for the support.
Are you in the squad, JBM?
This is on Facebook?
Yeah.
I honestly don't know because I haven't been on Facebook in a while.
Yeah.
Man, you should come drop in, man. Come join and come, share some of the stuff you do with us, man. You do dope work.
Okay.
Like one video that sticks out to me is that puff video where you did the puff for the first time.
Right.
Jacket, I think it was for a friend or something. You said.
No, that was for me. I just wanted to do something for me.
Okay, yeah.
That's the one. That's the video that just skyrocketed.
Yeah. Oh, that's the one. Okay. Yeah. That was just a good video all the way around, though.
Right, and that's what I was saying. I was trying to go back and study that video. Like, what did I do in this video? I guess to be so relatable. But one thing that I don't want to do when I go back and try to look at my videos is try to mimic something that I did, so that everything that I do going forward, it doesn't become natural. It becomes staged or something. I don't want to be this staged YouTuber where the content isn't real anymore. It's not genuine.
Right.
You know, I don't like messing up on camera, but if I do, you know that we make mistakes too. So
Period.
I would love to be perfect. It's just it doesn't happen that way.
And then I feel like as YouTubers, we have to show our mistakes, though. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's a mandatory thing, man, because everything's not sweet all the time. And so if you can't give somebody that the idea of everything is gonna go good for you when it's definitely not.
Right.
You're gonna waste money. You're gonna waste time at some time. So like my guy Mike T say, man, we make mistakes so they don't have to.
Yeah. Real way. Hey, what's up, Jason, Romeo, Sharon, Mac, all the constituents, all the people that's joining tonight. How y'all doing tonight? We appreciate y'all being here with us.
So you done got a couple subscribers since we've been on here.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. I appreciate that. I see it from Latanya Farmer and Anthony Alexander. I appreciate that.
So with the screen print, you started out so deep. So that's right, Paris. It's okay to show our imperfections, definitely. So you started out with screen printing. If you could go back, would that be where you would start? Or would you even suggest to start at screen printing for the newbies?
For me, yes, I would start at screen printing, and I was intimidated by screen printing. And I was like, you know what, DTG is a hit of a button. Put your artwork in the computer, hit print or send, your job is done. But it's not that easy for screen printing, and I was kind of intimidated about looking at people on YouTube burning screens and seeing their struggle, the issue, the burn, or I'm looking at it and I'm like, yo, they're saying that when you start off, you're going to get a few of these things wrong before you get everything right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I was like, how much money and time are they wasting before they get it right? Versus DTG, you just get it right.
Yeah,
I guess.
for the most part, yeah.
But for screen printing, I went ahead and jumped into screen printing. One, because this lady offered all this equipment at a ridiculously lower price than what she paid for it. So I jumped on it. But now that I know about screen printing, I know about the cost savings. Definitely I would do screen printing. If I were to start over again, I would do screen printing. But I would change what equipment I invested in. That's what I would change, because now I'm at the point where I've been outgrown my equipment, but I use what I have, because just because you might have the money to invest in a new piece of equipment doesn't mean it's always the right time to do it.
Period.
So that's why I'm still using my screen printing press, because right now it still gets jobs done.
That part.
So,
yeah, I got a screen print press that I need to learn how to use, which, like you said, it's intimidating.
yeah.
You know, but I do need the flash dryer and the inks and emulsion, but I have everything else. So y'all gonna be seeing that coming soon, man. I'm about to binge watch y'all screen print videos, you and Rye Beats, a couple other people, and just teach myself.
See, I'm a vinyl guy, so it's gonna be hard for me to pry over to the silk screen. I see a lot of people doing it and getting jiggy with it, but I'll buy some transfers if it's too much. But I don't know, I'm weird like that. I like messing with the different vinyls. So.
Well, the thing about the vinyls, and that's why I ended up getting the vinyl after I was already doing screen printing, is because a lot of people will come to me with, hey man, I got a shirt that I want you to make for me, but they only want one shirt.
Yeah.
You don't screen print one shirt.
Yeah,
so I go back to the person, like, how much you trying to get? Like 12? It's like, nah, man, I just need this shirt to wear to the gym. I said, I can't help it, because they don't know what it's like to set up for screen printing. They don't know what it's like to break it down when the job is done. And then to use all this emulsion to put a print on one shirt.
Yeah.
It probably cost you more money getting set up for the job.
Yeah.
So that's why I ended up getting me a vinyl cutter, so I can do the one-off prints. And I don't regret it. I got the Cameo 4, the regular one, so I don't regret it.
So you do sublimation too?
Yeah, that's the last thing that I got into so far.
And what machine do you use for that?
I got the Epson F570.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm tripping. You got that big boy, that big beautiful boy over there. Yeah. I forgot. I'm tripping. I knew that. I don't even know why I asked that question. Yeah, I remember the video where you were putting it together and all that stuff. Yeah. I'm tripping.
Yeah.
So how's that?
I was actually taking a, I don't want to say I was taking a risk, but I was looking at the price tag, because the F570 is a new sublimation print on the market pretty much. And it's been on back order for months when I was trying to get it. So I contacted this company, and they was like, it's going to take about, 4 to 6 weeks before they ship it out. But I'm sitting there like thinking about the price tag, and I was thinking about it for days. I even asked my wife, like, yo, what do you think about this price tag on this sublimation printer? And I started breaking down the differences, because I was going to get the Sawgrass 1000 because of the size prints, but you got to get that add-on to do 13 by 19 prints, and there's limitations to it. And then I saw somebody on YouTube do a video breaking down the cost of the ink to the Epson. So I started doing my own math based off of their video, and I was like, you know what, it really financially does make more sense to get the Epson printer. Cost over time, I'm saving money, and they including all this extra stuff in the box. So I decided to go with the Epson, and then my wife was also in agreement. If you want to get the Epson, get the Epson. So I got the Epson. Like, I was sitting at work, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna close my eyes and click check out. And I did it.
Yeah. So I remember in that video where you were putting it together.
Yeah.
You got quiet. What happened?
Hold on, that is so true, JBM. Someone asked me. Yeah.
So I remember in that video where you were putting it together, you were having a couple issues, and then you realized after the fact you could have did something else. Since then, how's it been treating you?
The sublimation is great. Before I bought it, I was trying to brainstorm and actually have a notebook that I keep all of my notes when it comes to business ideas, product ideas. I try to like jot down notes on what I think I can sell and apply it to my business. So with sublimation, I wrote down a bunch of things that I thought that would fit with what I was doing, and that helped me make the decision to even make the purchase. But the sublimation, as long as you do your research and your brainstorming, and you know what items you will sell to your customers, or you know what your customers will buy, the sublimation printer will pay for itself in
Yeah,
no time.
definitely.
So even though
Definitely.
$2,500 sounds like a lot of money for the printer, as long as you have the products in place that you know will work for you, it will pay for itself.
Definitely.
Dropping
Man,
gems on.
we got a few good comments over here, man. So Deep said that is so true, JBM. Someone just asked me to screen print one shirt with just their initials. Oh no. LOL. Yeah, that's crazy. That's $100 shirt right there.
Yeah, for real. 120 with tax.
She said yes, it was on the printer was on back order when it first came out, but it is worth the wait. Best printer, love that F570.
Yeah.
James Patton said, hello everyone. First off, JBM, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
With so much of a learning curve with screen printing, where would you recommend someone starts? Great question, as usual, James.
I recommend first you need to know what you're trying to print. If you're trying to do like a bunch of shirts, it's not bad to look at screen printing as long as you got the space. You know, I would say look at screen printing for the cost savings. You'll save a lot of money and you'll have a higher return on your profit. But in any business that you get into, as far as screen printing, vinyl transfers, sublimation, you're gonna need a heat press. I recommend you really look at what heat press you're gonna get. And when I don't even recommend people heat presses, because there are a lot of people that say this is the best heat press, that's the best heat press. What I always tell people is you need to get the best heat press that you can afford.
Right.
If you can only afford a $250, $300 heat press, then that's the best that you can afford. Get that, scale up.
Message.
But if you can afford a $700 heat press, get the best that you can afford, because your heat press becomes the heart of your shop.
Yep.
I don't care if you're screen printing. Some screen printers still use heat presses sometimes.
Yeah.
So invest wisely in a heat press. I use the Heat Press Nation signature series, the auto open with the pull out drawer. I have a 16 by 20. And I was like, all right. And I heard that from somebody else, to invest in the best heat press that you can. And that's why I went with that one. Because at the time I was like, you know what? I hear a lot of good things about this heat press. So that's what I'm going to go with. But what would I start off with? Personally, I would do screen printing only for the profitability.
So explain why a screen printer would use a heat press, please.
There's different reasons you can use a heat press. One is if you do not have a conveyor dryer. If you don't have a conveyor dryer, which is, if anybody doesn't know, that's the belt where you put your shirts or garments on it and it just feeds through the heating element to cure the ink. If you don't have that, you can cure your shirts with a heat press. What you're going to get by curing your shirt with the heat press is a nice. Now, when you put your Teflon sheet or your parchment paper, you're going to get two different texturized finishes. When you use the Teflon sheet, if you look at it, you have the little lines or the grooves in it. So when you press your shirt and you put that over top, when you pull it up and look at it, all of that's going to transfer over to your design. Some designs, I actually like the way that looks. And also it makes your ink shiny or shinier. Versus if you use the Teflon sheet, it makes your print more flat and more, I won't say dull, but it's not as shiny. So you can use either or. You can also use a flash dryer to cure your shirts, or a heat gun. But that's the reasons why a screen printer could use a heat press or would use a heat press. Just another curing method.
So what is the typical time to cure the ink?
It depends on the ink that you're using, but for a lot of them, it's like 320 degrees for like 30 seconds.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Um,
But you have some low cure inks that's about 280, just depending on what you're using.
mhm. So I'm asking for the people out there, but I'm also asking for myself these questions. What ink and emulsion would you suggest?
Which ink do I use a lot of Will Flex. Yeah, Will Flex, and recently I've been using a lot of, I got one I'm looking at, International Coatings. I started using International Coatings because the smoothness of the ink is not as thick, especially when it comes to the white inks.
Mm-hmm.
And the emulsions, I use Delano Orange to coat my screens because it's just easy to work with.
Sorry, I'm looking for my pen.
So with you doing your silk screen, do you use transfers at all? Like, have you purchased any
What do you mean, like
transfers?
super color?
Yeah, super color or top
Yeah,
transfer, like that.
I use super color all the time. I've kind of incorporated them in my business for specific customers. I don't offer it to everybody, but there are some customers that have their design where the colors, they kind of just come together if they have different colors in between. So my screen printing press is the worst when it comes to registration. So I can't really print a multicolored job and line it up perfectly. And that's one thing that you need to do when you start doing, it's called either spot color printing, the different printing methods where you're printing that. You need to have some tight registration for that to really come out perfect. And I can't really do that on the press. That's why I go with super color, Stalls. I order from Stalls. And the next one that somebody kind of put me hip to is Juan Transfers, where I think they do DTF.
One transfers.
Right. It's JUAN transfers.com.
Mm-hmm.
So I have two things that I'm actually about to order from them, and I'll be doing a video on that as soon as it comes in. But I was going to order from them before, and the cost savings were crazy. Like you can do a gang sheet, and the sheet I think was like $4.99, whatever you can fit on it, for like
Really?
I don't know if it was like a something by 22 sheet, and you can put whatever you want on it. But I couldn't figure out how to get my design on there and know exactly the size dimensions of my design. Now that I know, I'm gonna go try it out, order some stuff, and do a video review on it. But the cost savings going through them compared to Supercolor was a stretch. It was a big difference. I ended up still going with Supercolor because I'm familiar with that platform. I know how they run, how they operate, and I pretty much know shipping times, how long it's going to take for me to get it. So I went with Supercolor.
As soon as you approve it, that's when that gets done. On that approval time, Flawless 615 also does great DTF transfers. Check them out.
So I'm like the only person in the whole wide world in this industry that hasn't used Supercolor. So, so you do screen printing. You also use Supercolor. So I got a 6-color design, right? I come to you and I need 50 shirts or 100 shirts, and as far as cost, so I'm gonna say it's a simple job you could do on your screen print press. What's more cost efficient, to order the transfers or to just set up the screens and go?
It's more cost efficient to set up the screens and go if you can print 6 colors.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have a 4-color screen print set up. So I wouldn't even be thinking about screen printing anyway.
Right.
So for me, that eliminates it. And I'm gonna stay on this, but I want to bring up something. What I would do is I would go to transfers for that 6-color design, because at the moment I can't screen print the 6 colors. Now there are some people that'll print 4 colors, then pop out 2 screens and print the other 2 colors. But like I said, for me, my registration, lining up one color to the next color, is a nightmare. So I wouldn't even try to do it. When it comes to screen printing, starting off, and I think this goes back to if I were to start all over again, I would start with a minimum of 6 colors. Most people, on average, will get a 1-color or a 2-color design. But minimum for screen printing, I would get 6 screens. So you can do 6 colors.
Wow. How long does it take to set up everything for the screen print if you were just a rough estimated time? The setup with the emulsion and everything. How long does all that take before you're actually crusting onto the shirt?
If you're doing it without using all your downtime, and when I say downtime is after you wash a screen, you got to let it dry. After you coat a screen with the emulsion, you got to put it in and let it dry. Then you got to burn the screen and wash out your stencil, put it back in, let it dry. If you just do that straight through and you have a good drying process and all this stuff like that, I don't know, probably about maybe an hour and a half or something like that just to set up.
Sheesh.
So, I mean, it takes time, and that's what people don't understand. Or when you start adding on the actual setup cost to a job, people don't really want to pay you for washing the screen, but they don't know what it takes to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you got to clean this stuff up when the job is done and get ready for the next job. But when it's set up and you starting to print, you knocking them out.
Yeah.
So I don't know how true this is, and I haven't really seen it done side by side, but the time that it takes to weed out a design and press 50 shirts versus the time it's going to take to set up for screen printing, and then once you start printing, you just knocking them out. How long does it take for the screen printer to catch up with the person that's weeding vinyl and then passing?
That part. I weed a lot. So I just did I had a 12 piece that jumped up to 40 shirts. And they did that old I don't even know what to call it. I'm gonna just say they just kept adding shirts. And I tried to put a cap on it, you can't add no more shirts after this certain day. So every time I turn over a certain number of shirts, they'd be like, "Oh, we need 10 more." And I'm like, didn't I say one no more shirts? Because now this is backing me up on my other orders. But sometimes if it's let's just say this C, the weeding would be nothing but this, especially if you're rocking with Econo. Everybody know I rock with Econo. But if it's something that's intricate, got little dots all over the place, that one carrier sheet could take an hour to weed without pulling up some of them little indentations or some of the little details. I mean, it's all about your cut settings and how well that carrier sheet is, because I haven't found the glitter yet that where the carrier actually holds the glitter. And what I mean by that is you could make an M, and it can be the size of this on the whole M, and everything else is coming up, no matter what your cut settings is, unless you're cutting through the carrier sheet, literally. That's with glitter. But now, let's just say the layerable glitter or the, what y'all like, Siser, the Siser Easy Weed, some of that stuff will come up real quick, but it will decapitate a lot of the letters. So your T would be an I on accident. You get what I'm saying? Especially, I'm an aggressive weeder. I like to get it off because I'm trying to get to the next part, which is stamping. But I have a habit of weeding everything before I start that first stamp. And that's what throws me off when someone comes back and you're like, well, we need another 10 shirts. And I'm like, well, I can't squeeze you in. But... So a side-by-side comparison, about the same, bro. It could take an hour, 2 hours, or 3 hours. Go ahead, see.
Uh-oh. Can we see it? Can we get a video challenge? Huh?
Challenge?
Econo versus screen printing, huh?
Okay. Set it up.
We got a few questions over here for you. Anthony Alexander said, "What is your burn time? I tried screen printing, but I couldn't get my burn time right."
For the screen.
Okay, I found it. What's your burn time? I tried screen printing, but I couldn't get my burn time. All right, the burn time is going to vary. It's going to vary from person to person depending on what you're using, your light source, and everything. My burn time, and I'm using Ulano Orange on my exposure unit, is 1:20 seconds. That's how long it takes me to burn the screen. I can't say it's going to take you 1:20 seconds because I don't know what emulsion you're using. I don't know what light source you're using. And that's what I was saying in the beginning. Those are one of the things that you're going to have to get wrong before you get it right.
Right.
That's one of the trial and error things that you're going to have to nail down. So that just comes along with screen printing and getting used to your emulsion exposure setup. But for me, it's 1:20 seconds pretty much for the screens and the mesh count that I use.
Another question from James Patton.
I'm about to upload, I'm editing a video right now where I did I think I'm going to title it Reclaiming Screens and Getting Set Up for the Next Job, where I'm doing exactly that. I am showing you step by step on how to clear out a screen, recode it, and then burn the image. So I'm actually editing that video right now, so I'll be uploading that maybe tomorrow.
So
how you go about tailoring your customers' needs with all the print methods you offer? I looked at the customers that I had, and I looked at the things that you could sublimate, and I looked at what I could offer to them, my current customers. What can I sell them that they could use in their business? A lot of my customers were business owners, and I went after business owners for a reason, multiple reasons actually. So, for example, some of my clients were, they own a gym, or another customer owns a cafe, smoothie shop. So when I go to their establishments, for example, the gym, I look around and see what they got. And I was like, yo, I can sublimate that. I'll say this to myself, like, I can sublimate that, and I bet I can save them some money, and I bet I can do a better job. Or I'll go to the cafe and say, I'll look at their flaws. I'll look for a flaw. Or I'll look for something that I'm able to do and see if I'm able to do it better. So
that's a message, y'all. He dropped the gem on y'all.
The next time they order from me, what I would do is I would sublimate something and I'll just throw it in there.
Message.
Give it to them as a gift. Thank you for doing business with me, blah, blah, blah. I just wanted to give you a free gift or whatever to show my appreciation for you. For the cafe, the smoothie shop, I sublimated, I don't know, like 100 or some crazy number of coasters. Because the ones that she had, the problem she was having is that wherever she ordered them from, she ordered paper coasters. And they didn't last, so she had to keep throwing them away. Yeah. I said, no problem. I can get coasters that you can just wash and reuse. So that's what I did. I ordered some coasters. It was like hardboard or something, sublimated on it. And the colors turned out a little bit different. And when I gave it to her, she was like, I like this better. Because her original coasters were faded black. But when I gave it to her, it was like a rich, shiny brown or something. And she looked at it and she was like, I actually like this because it actually matched her store as far as the colors and the theme of her store.
Wow.
So she put in a bulk order for more of them. As far as the gym, somebody made them little name tags for all the people that was working there. But they took little stickers and they stuck it on the nameplate. And I think they had to wash their name tags, everything, because of course COVID and everything, they got to sanitize. And the sticker came off. So I was like, I can get you some more, and the image will be permanent. So I sublimated, I don't know, like 12 name tags, gave it to them. They've been wearing them ever since. They also have the little magnetic back, so they can just stick it on instead of clipping. So
You was
that's how you can
upselling at its
tailor.
finest. That's upselling, man. You was
Yeah,
upselling at
that's how you can tailor different print methods. Is one, your current customers, find out what their needs are. Find out what their needs are without them even knowing that they have a need. And say, hey, I noticed that you don't have this, or you have this, but I can make it better. And then throw in like a free item or something so they can actually see it, feel it, touch it. They'll come back.
tangible items, man. Y'all listen to that Jimmy just dropped. Get y'all gems on top of gems.
Man, so like you said, you did 12 name tags. You actually print that out on your F570?
Yeah, I printed them all out on F570. And I just press them up on the heat press.
Mm-hmm. So
And the
is
thing I
that
like about the sublimation is pretty much all the work is done in the computer.
yeah.
So when you have like the different names of all the people that work there, all you doing is typing in their name in the font that you want to use, design it up, and then you organize everything on your artboard and click print.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
Excuse me.
I printed everything at one time. And then I took the sheet off the printer and I think I cut it in half. I didn't even separate the images like individually. So I had half of the sheet that had maybe like 6 names, and I just put all of the name the metal name tags on it, and I printed 6 of them at one time.
Mm-hmm.
And I did the other 6 one time. Job was done. So
Wow.
So with the or no, what I was gonna say was sublimation. For me, I think it's far better when you're doing it on like a hard substrate. It's cool for t-shirts, but like when you're doing like name tags or coasters or
right.
photo panels or something like that, I think sublimation is far better for that.
Yeah,
I agree.
Would y'all agree with that?
I agree wholeheartedly.
I agree. The colors just pop on hard
Yeah.
surfaces.
Yeah.
I just sublimated another free gift. I did a t-shirt order for a soccer team. It was 117 shirts. So I threw in a free tumbler that I sublimated. I'm gonna try to pop a picture up real quick. But I sublimated it on a silver background. And I wasn't sure how the colors were gonna pop because it's a full color image that I put on this tumbler.
Mm-hmm.
Pop up.
Oh yeah, that's tight.
Right. Yeah, and the colors is popping.
Yeah, that's tight.
So that was that sublimation. So yeah, I think the colors definitely pop when you're doing hard surface, whether it's tumblers, coasters. I do a lot of face masks with sublimation as well, but I don't really do shirts with it.
So are you still getting business for the mask?
I am. I actually just did 19 or 20 of them for a funeral that's coming up.
Yeah.
My state's about to open, y'all. Pray for us. I don't know why we opening like we opening, but June 2nd, everything is open.
Yeah.
No masks have to be worn either. So I don't know how that came to be, but that's what it is. I got a few comments though from Facebook. One from SP Pope. I know I'm tuning in late, but F570 finally somebody who has what I had an eye on. That F570 is very popular. Mac the Goon says, "What do you like better, HTV, sublimation, or screen print?"
I like screen printing.
Anthony Alexander asks, "What screen number do you use?"
It depends on what you're trying to print, and it depends on the ink that you're using. I use 110, 160. 200 something mesh. But for the white inks, the thicker white inks, I usually go with a 110, or I might do a 160 if depends on how much ink I'm trying to lay down. As far as the different numbers in the screens, for anyone that's not familiar with screen printing, the lower the number, if I can simplify this the best, the lower the number, the larger the holes are in the screen, allowing the ink to pass through.
I was
The
literally
more,
going to ask that next.
yeah, the lower the number of the screen, the more ink passes through onto your garment because the holes are larger. The larger number of the screen, say it's a 160 or 180 or 305 mesh screen, your squares or the holes become tighter, which doesn't allow as much ink to pass through your screen. And the reason why you would use a higher mesh count screen is the more detail that your print is, you would go to a higher mesh count to capture all that detail. Versus if you use like a 110 where you have larger screens, when you go to wash the screen out or burn your stencil or wash your stencil, if you were, well, you can't really see it with your actual eye, but if you zoom in to like the lines and stuff, the design on the stencil, that stuff will actually wash out. So your lines and everything is not as sharp. That's why for high detail artwork, you will use a higher mesh count. But for me, I typically stay in the 160 range because I've learned to like 160 more than 110 now. 110 is the easiest screen, I believe, when you're starting out because it's the most forgiving. So, but yeah,
And when
typically
you say forgiving, what do you mean by it's the most forgiving?
it's the most forgiving because it's going to be easier for you to pass your ink through the screen. So when you're pushing, if you're starting out and you decide you want to load up a 205 and you print in white ink, for most people, even for beginners, white ink is a nightmare because it's one of the hardest to print with. But if you're using a screen where it's harder to print the ink through, you're going to try to push harder on that screen to try to push more of the ink through. What you're going to do if you do that, applying more pressure, is you're probably going to start pushing the ink onto the back side of your garment because too much pressure. So you got to know which mesh count you want to use for the different colors, and you got to know how much pressure that you need to push down on the squeegee. And you also need to know about the angles. You know, how much of an angle you need to hold the squeegee up, how much of an angle you need to hold the squeegee back. Because when the squeegee is more at a 90-degree angle, which you would never print 90 degrees, but a slight angle back, what you're doing is pressing ink down. You're pressing ink down through the screen. Compared to having an angle on the squeegee, you're more likely pressing the ink across your screen. If that makes sense. So it's different variables of screen printing that you learn over time to allow for a better print.
So in the instance that someone all they had was a 205 or whatever and needed to do white ink, would more passes make a difference in that situation, or are you just asked out?
No, you can still print on a 205 with white ink, but yes, you will do more passes like a print flash print to get a more vibrant color.
Mike, you had a few more questions over there.
I do, but I can't see who this Facebook user is, so it just on my end is blank. It just says I can see everything on the screen. What do you like better, HTV sublimation or screen print? He's answered that. That was screen print. Replying to Facebook user, it's definitely a nice printer. Sublimation keychains is awesome. I have a starter screen set from Speedball. I can see everything on the screen. What do you like better, HTV? It's definitely a nice printer.
I just ruined that. My bad. I was trying to look at Facebook to see if I could see the names and messed up the broadcast.
No, we good. It's it just doesn't show. Whoever the Facebook user is, I apologize. I can't shout your name out. There must be friends of yours or JBM.
It says one, do I do any water-based printing or am I all Plastisol? I do water-based printing. I print on my own boxes that I give out to my customers now because I use that as a marketing tool.
Yep.
Instead of when people order shirts, what I was doing is the shirts that they came in, I'll package them right back up in that box and give it to them. But personally, I thought it looked tacky for me to have a legit screen printing business to give them a box advertising somebody else's company. When I can print my own box and just advertise me, especially when you're sending this stuff through the mail.
Yeah,
Man, you don't know who's going to see your company name,
definitely.
you know, on the way to where your box is going.
Yep.
So, yeah, I do water-based ink to screen print boxes. And I've also did it on shirts as well. Water-based is a little trick in itself because you have to keep your screen flooded. It will dry out on you. So you just got to keep the ink moving pretty much. So I didn't start off using Plastisol. I actually didn't start using Plastisol until a few months ago because I wanted to get I didn't start using water-based until a few months ago because I wanted to get Plastisol under my belt. Plastisol is easier to start with and work with.
My bad, Mac. I don't know what's going on, but before I even got on here, my Facebook freezes, y'all. And it's stuck on like 5 comments that was said earlier. So that was Mac asking those questions earlier.
I'm going to try to look at it. Somebody asked, I have a starter screen set from Speedball. Any tips for rookies?
If you're using Speedball ink, I believe that's the water-based ink. One thing that you just got to do is whenever you print your images, you got to back flood it and keep your stencil wet because water-based ink dries out on the screen. So as long as you back flood it, and you have to use a lot of ink when you use water-based. You can't put a little bit and think you got enough. You got to use a lot of water-based. Keep your stencil or your image covered in ink. And when you print it, cover it back up and move on to the next shirt. You just got to keep that ink moving. The thing about water-based is that you can, I guess, mist some water back on it and it'll loosen it up again. But as long as you continue in the print, you should be okay with the water-based printing from Speedball.
That was Mac the Goon that actually asked that question too.
Yo.
So with the screen print, right? Like, what are the best? You said a 110 was the best mesh to start out with.
I think a 110 is an easier mesh to print on if you're starting out because it's the most forgiving, because it's easy to pass the ink through it without having to do so many passes. And then you don't really have to worry about applying too much pressure because your ink isn't coming through as vibrant as you think it should. A 110 is pretty much a good mesh count that you should have in every shop, I believe. So when you're starting out and you're trying to print that white ink, I think 110 is a good starting point for that.
Yeah, I have some of those. I have several screens, man, to go with my thing, and 110 is the one I happen to notice when I was moving the stuff around the other day. That's why I was asking about it.
Yeah.
James Patton asks, have you tried Discharge on Plastisol ink? I hear that it gives an awesome feel to the shirt.
Yeah, I use Plastisol. Plastisol and I use water-based ink, mainly Plastisol.
He asks, have you tried Discharge on Plastisol ink?
Oh, No, discharge on Plastisol. No.
I'm not even sure what that is.
Me either. This is all foreign to me, but I'll tell you what, I've learned a lot in the last 50 minutes. I appreciate these gems you dropping on us, man, because
Yeah,
like I
man.
said, I'm the vinyl king. I do a lot of sublimation, but I really don't mess with the silk screen.
So, how do you feel about people that make screens out of like sticker vinyl?
Using like a vinyl to burn the image.
Yeah.
You know, like you'll see like people say you can just use like 651 to make your put your image on a screen. I'm not even sure how the process works.
I've done it, in the way that I've done it is, instead of printing out my image through my printer on a transparency film, I would take my vinyl cutter and I would weed the design, and then I would burn it into my screen using vinyl instead of printing out a transparency.
Wow.
Now, some people like to use vinyl and then they would just straight attach it to the screen, and they will cover up all the areas around their design and print that way. I haven't done that. I just use the vinyl to burn the image in the screen. But one thing that I do like about that is when you burn screens, your image that you print on your transparency has to be as dark as you can make it, because no light can pass through. That allows the emulsion to weaken in those spots, and you can go wash it out easier. So when you do vinyl, there's no light going to pass through vinyl once you press it against your screen. So it makes your image wash out without any kind of problem. So that's why I've used vinyl as far as burning screens. Also because I had the design in Silhouette and not in Adobe Illustrator, because that's where I created it. So I didn't know how to transfer it over at the time. So I weeded it out and then I burned the image in the screen.
So, what type of printer do you use to print your films?
I use a Canon IX 6820.
That's my baby right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've also seen people use like print out two films of the same print and double up and put them on a screen. How do you feel about that?
I do that also sometimes, and that's because when they printed out the first film, the black ink wasn't dark enough.
Oh, okay.
So when you burn out the second film and you line them up, it makes it dark enough to where you can then burn the screen, because it's going to block out enough light so that you can burn that image.
Oh, okay. Yeah, man. So you just use a regular inkjet printer for that.
Right.
Yeah, my IX 6820. I really love that printer, and it's affordable for several different things.
Yeah, that's why I got it. It was affordable.
You do custom apparel and you run a clothing brand?
I do custom apparel and I print for other businesses, other shops. And as far as the clothing brand, I am working on trying to launch one right now.
And what's going to be the name of your clothing brand?
I actually have a meeting with the lawyer next week to go over the trademarking and copyrights and everything as far as that. So I probably won't be disclosing any information on the clothing brand just yet.
I agree. Wholeheartedly.
Somebody said discharging is like bleaching the shirt. Okay. I'm going to have to look that up. And somebody said, what if I don't have room for all the extra tools? I looked at Facebook too before I read that. Looking at Facebook, it's just tripping. I can't see. All the questions are just froze in one spot.
Yeah,
nothing after Jason Maycock saying that was Mac. Can you see for some reason? Somebody said, what if I don't have room for all the extra tools? I'm just using 651. I'm not burning the screens. I have no room. That's understandable.
Yeah, it sounds like the 651. That's the permanent vinyl.
Yes.
So it sounds like you're just weeding out your vinyl and sticking it to the screen and printing it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
James Patton asks, what advice could you give to a person on developing a relationship with a screen printer when outsourcing orders? It's another good question.
What advice could I give? Just get in contact with them. Tell them what you're looking for, what you're looking to do, and first see if they can even supply you with what you're trying to get done. I had people ask me, do I do what do you call it? Like just mass orders as if I was a fulfillment service. I said, I'm not a fulfillment provider, but if you need me to print for your brand, this, that, and the other, yeah, I can do that. So I mean, just talk to them. I guarantee you, they'll love to print your shirts.
Yeah,
because that's why they're there.
Mm-hmm.
So Deep says she has that printer too. Yeah, that printer is good, man. I like it a lot. And you can find good affordable ink for that thing too. Because a Canon, they'll hit you a little bit, but there are aftermarket inks that are really good for it.
Yeah.
That work well.
The other big thing I use on the Canon is the Nina 3G.
Yeah, it works well with that.
Transfers. I recently had a customer like a few months ago, and that's all I use on this customer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even advertise this to customers. I don't push it on customers. But this one in particular, he likes to draw. And he asked me one day, he's like, hey, man, can you put this on a shirt? And he had the drawing. I was like, yeah, I can put it on a shirt. Immediately, I'm thinking Nina 3G Jet Opaque. I'm going to press that bad boy up. So he gave me his drawing, and I brought it home, and I got it uploaded into the computer. And I printed it out, pressed it on a shirt, took it back to him the following day or whatever. And he liked it. He actually loved it. Me thinking that I'm printing with Nina 3G Jet Opaque, of course you got that hand that comes with it. You can feel the print that you just put on the shirt. I didn't know how he would feel about it, but at the same time, he doesn't really have a preference on t-shirt styles or the feel. He doesn't know anything about that. And I kind of figured that out about him in conversation. And then the more I talked to him, the more I learned that he just likes what I'm giving him.
Yeah.
He doesn't care. One, he really likes the fact that his artwork is on the shirt. Yeah. So since then, he's just been a weekly customer of shirts. Wow. He'll get maybe 2 or 3 at a time. And he started selling the shirts to other people. Mm-hmm. Those same shirts. So when he started, he would give me his drawing in pencil and say, can you add the color to it? I said, all right, I'll add the color. Adding color to those drawings were taking so much time. Yeah. I said, look, I'm going to cut you a deal. One, I see that you're trying to sell these shirts. Yeah. And to be honest, I'm trying to, drop gems to him as far as what he should be charging without telling him what he should charge.
Right.
Because he already knew how much he was paying. I said, listen, profit-wise, I don't think that you should be making any less than this on profit. So you should be selling this. I recommend that you sell this to your customers at this price point. You sell it at whatever you want, but if you want to make anything off of this, I recommend that your price point starts here. And you also got to consider, what do you value your time in drawing your artwork? Now, either way, I'm not losing any money being your printer. But what I can do for you is give me these drawings full color. I'm going to mark off this amount of money so that you can put that back in your pocket.
Right.
That's going to help you start making money up front. Yeah. He's like, all right, cool. So profitability wise, he shouldn't be making any less than $10 a shirt profit.
Yeah.
Just profit. Honestly, he should be making more than that, but I don't know what he sells to his customers, and I try for him to not tell me because I don't want to know. I don't need to know. Yeah. His customers aren't my customers, but I want to help him, get started. Then I started thinking, you know what? I'm gonna teach this dude the business. I'm gonna teach this dude about a heat press, a vinyl cutter, this, that, and the other. But he couldn't even grasp the concept of making the profit. So I knew he probably wouldn't grasp the concept of trying to make his own shirts and everything. So I felt like I would just been loading him too much information. So I'm just trying to start with helping him make money, pretty much.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I said all of that to say Nina 3G transfers for me lately has been a big money maker. So get a heat press.
Man, I got some shirts, birthday shirts I just did last night with that 3G, man. It definitely has a place.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It does. So, yo, can I get into this rapid fire, which is a series of some quick questions you can answer to the best of your capabilities. I don't have no sound effects or no special horn or nothing to make it pop off. You know, I've been trying to holler at Ryan B to see if he'd make a weekly appearance, but you haven't got that answer, Jay. The first one is, what's your favorite food?
Dang, I was gonna say chicken, but that's kind of
Ain't no wrong with it. Chicken thighs.
yeah. I was trying not to say chicken, but it was chicken like the first thought.
There we go.
What's your favorite color?
Black.
All right. Hot or cold?
Cold.
What do you like to do besides making t-shirts?
Music.
Wow. If you had to choose between making music or making shirts, which would you choose?
Making music.
The real way, y'all. That was rapid fire. He answered those questions quick. I appreciate you, man.
Yep.
So deep by Sherry said it depends on what job you're doing. Oh, she's talking to someone else. That doesn't concern us, but I read it. She's talking about that IX 6820. It depends on what job you're doing. If you're doing just black ink for screen printing, it's not so bad. Also, it depends on the volume of your transfers as well. Connie, that 6820 is nice. I got it right here. And then like he was talking about with the 3G, that thing, the colors, oh, my lights in a way, but the colors pop on that 3G. See, every shirt, I got a few shirts like not too far from me, but I'd have to like go off camera and y'all can't see what's going on back there. It was a bad night. But the colors are beautiful. They really pop. And in my opinion, they don't use a lot of inks. A lot of ink. Because I print, and one color might run out, but everything else is still going. And then you got to think also, you're going to use a lot of black. So,
yeah. Like
no matter what.
What sublimation ink do you use, JBM?
I only use the Epson ink that comes with my printer because I don't know if anything else is going to mess it up or void the warranty.
Right.
And I wasn't trying to mess up my printer, so yeah, I just use the one that comes with it.
I have another question. You told me you incorporated super color into your business, which I've done the same thing, and I get this question a lot. Do you see that as profitable? Have you upsold jobs off of super color, or do you think it's just a break-even type of situation?
I think super color is profitable, especially you doing something as simple as like a left chest. But as long as you do the right markups, you're definitely going to make your money back on it. I don't really, like I said, my key customer is a business owner. So I use super color for a business owner that owns a gym where he gets maybe an order of 50 shirts or something like that. Or I do super color for a soccer league. Like the last one I did, I used super color and they did 117 shirts. I don't really push it on just a regular customer who I don't know if that design is going to be a repeat design, because you got to think about it. My minimum order for Supercolor is 20.
Mm-hmm.
I got to order. Well, I go directly through Supercolor. I think you can get them through what other company you can get it?
Heat Transfer Warehouse.
Yep. I don't know if they have minimums or not though.
It's the same.
The same.
Same. Okay, so I think about that when a customer orders a design. So I just delivered a order for a customer yesterday where I did Supercolor for her too, but I told her in the beginning of the conversation, you need to have a minimum of 20 shirts.
Yep.
Because she was trying to have a shirt where one color shirt, first of all, she had one design, and she wanted her image or the shirt, like on this D, if I can get my finger there. She wanted the material to come through on the inside of her design. But then on another color shirt, she wanted to block it out with black. Okay. So I tried to make it a point. I said, okay, this is two separate designs. Even though it's the same thing, by me blacking this out on the inside, that's now two separate designs.
Right.
So I have to order 20 of one design and 20 of another design. So once she understood that she had to order a minimum of 20 shirts per design, she was like, okay, fine. But she said she's also coming back for more of the same thing. So she's already a repeat customer. So I went ahead and ordered all the designs that I needed, got the job done, knowing that this is for a big church, knowing that they're going to be coming back ordering the exact same thing. So yes, it is profitable as long as you hit the minimums with your customers and you're not sitting around holding designs that you can no longer use.
Yeah. I got a few of those too.
Yeah.
Somebody asked, what timber pressure do you use to apply Plastisol transfer? I'm assuming that's Plastisol transfers.
Plastisol transfers. I don't use them.
It depends.
Unless you're just talking about Supercolor. And that's like what, 320 for 15 seconds? That's what I got my press at.
Yeah, it depends, man. It doesn't. Not all transfers press at the same.
Right.
Like I got some top transfers right here, which are actually in my reach. I got a pack of top transfers right here, and these are 330 for 15 seconds. So it just, I don't know, my camera's somewhere, but it depends. Yeah. Not all are the same.
Not all are created equal. I actually got some, my live I did yesterday, I showed a series of different transfers from Supercolor all the way to, it's not a well-known company, but Sarah's Transfers. I'm butchering it. I apologize. But some of them are high heat. It needs to be at like 350, 360. You need to press it for 20 to 30 seconds. And the feeling, to me, it felt like plasticky feel, if that makes any sense. But then I get a lot of transfers from Bailey Brothers, which is the ones that I've been posting in the squad with like Death Row and the Set It Off, the other ones. And they got like a nice feel to them too, but it feels just like Plastisol. I couldn't compare it to anything else. Now with Supercolor, I don't have a feel to it, or to me, it doesn't have a feel. It's like that of a DTF, the same as DTF. So when it comes to transfers, it just differentiates between times and pressures, and you got to do due diligence.
And then also recommended time pressures. You're going to have to find your own what works with your heat press.
Yes. Everybody's heat press is not the same.
Yeah, they're not equal.
Same heat press, but
you might have the same exact heat press as I have, but yours might do something different. So keep that in mind with anything. That's vinyl, sublimation, or whatever the case. like everybody presses sublimation, for instance, at 400 degrees for 60 seconds, but I can get the same thing at 380 for 45. So,
Yep.
you know, you just gotta, like Mike say all the time, you gotta do your due diligence and figure that out.
Definitely.
And then a question over here says, what fabrics can you use super color on?
Cotton,
Any
polyester,
cotton, poly blends, cotton, whatever, anything.
They give you a set. They give you like 5 different transfers to pick from. That being wearables to sub blockers to
Right.
just all different types. You guys got to get on there and actually look. I don't have the pamphlet in front of me, although I do use them. And most of the time, what I use is wearables and sub blocker.
Right. They also ask you when you. They also ask me filling out the order form, what type of garment are you trying to print on, so that you can give them an idea of the fabric that you're using.
Yep.
I never have used super color. I do know the answers to those questions from looking at the site, but I'm gonna use something soon though. I'm not gonna stay in the dark, y'all.
Come on out, man. Come on and use that super color.
But Connie, I see Connie, you still asking about that printer. You can't go wrong with it. It's an affordable printer, nice printer. Yeah, you can't go wrong. Like everything I have that I've used it on is out of my reach. Literally.
But you know what I wished was a perfect printing solution?
Oh.
That is cotton subs.
Yeah.
It's good if you want square, but that contour cut, man.
Yeah. I pressed it on the shirt, and I mean the feel or the hand from it is perfect. And I just wish that it was just a perfect solution for everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they show ways that you can contour cut it, but man, I've done, and I use them a lot too. I don't say it a lot anymore, but I do use them a lot because of the fact that you can turn this black shirt. I could put a whole yellow image in, you know what I'm saying, without having to worry if the black is going to show through it. It works, but I don't want everything to be a square. You know, I need something I can just cut out with intricate detail without snagging that actual material.
Right.
Connie, that's printed with the IX6820 on 3G. The colors are nice, and this isn't even the best image, but the colors really stand out.
Yeah.
Just a reference.
Hey, see, that shirt though is straight fire. I gotta say it, man. Influence.
It's my lifestyle.
Yeah.
Man, you know, influence. That's the goal.
This is another one of his shirts right here too. 2020 made it hard to breathe.
It sure the hell did.
Yes, it was a broad, real true statement. What you rocking, JBM? That you?
Oh man, this just a regular old shirt from the gym.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, nothing that I print.
Okay.
So man, back to the DJing, man. Do you still be rocking out? You just get in your zone and do it, or is the equipment collecting dust because you've been so busy?
It has been collecting dust lately because I've been so busy, but before that, I've been rocking out in the house.
Mm-hmm.
As far as playing, I was playing at my church, and that's where most of my actual live playing was being done before the pandemic. But I kind of like stepped out and started doing church online, so I haven't really been playing as much. Until they got the whole mask thing straight. So yeah,
man, I don't know, man.
I still play in the house.
I don't know about these masks, man. I think that's a lifetime. It's a lifetime thing, even with the vaccination, man. With the shit, the way this, I'm about to start cussing everything, but the way this stuff is growing, you know. So you never know, man. Like it's mutating every day. It's some new strain and this and this and that.
That's
like you never know.
The mask opened up a new door for me as far as business because
Yeah.
When the mask wave started, what was that, around March of last year when it really hit?
Yep.
I didn't really have a method of making masks. I can screen print them, but that was a whole nother setup or attachment I had to do. I wasn't screen printing. And I saw every now and then people, well, actually, masks were selling out, so people couldn't get masks anyway. And then masks, people didn't really jump on to personalizing masks for the pandemic. So they were trying to put out like, hey, if y'all can donate masks here, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try to see if I can get into donating masks only so people can see JBM Design Company, just so they can see my business name. I don't really know what I would get out of this. I'm not really expecting anything, and at the same time, I can be helping people.
Yep.
But I didn't know how I was going to print the mask or how I was going to get masks. So I went and bought a sewing machine.
I got one of those too.
But I don't sew. So I bought a sewing machine, the last one, and I learned how to sew masks. And I probably sewed, I don't know, like 5 or 6 masks before I came to one that I was like, I got a mask. And I started selling masks. And I think March, either April or May, one of those months, I sold so many masks. Shirts wasn't even hitting anymore. It was masks. I sold so many masks that pretty much it covered my monthly expenses as far as living expenses.
Damn.
Like masks were going, and I learned how to sew. So
damn. I made some money off masks too, but I didn't sew them.
Yeah, that's pretty much why I made so much money, because I was going to JBM Fabrics. I was standing in the lines outside the store because they was only letting in so many people at a time.
Yep.
And I was trying to shop for a specific fabric, and after a while, you couldn't buy black fabric. So they started knowing my face after a while because I was enjoying the line like almost every other week trying to buy fabric. So yeah, that's mask really kicked it off for me. And then I got Sublimation, and it's like, oh, you can put my football team up there?
Yep.
So yeah, Sublimation is going crazy with masks now.
I targeted a lot of companies with the mask, and I've had a lot of success with the mask. Even with us opening back up, I still got mask orders to do, which I think now more than ever people are going to double down on that, because there's going to be a lot. Like I told Seek earlier today, I went to Giant Eagle, which is like a Kroger's or similar to whatever y'all big grocery store is. So I went to Giant Eagle, and more than half the people in there didn't have no mask on. They were just walking around. I seen people coughing and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And it gave me the heebie-jeebies. Like I went in there, I had to walk right back out the store because I'm masked up. And then my wife is a registered nurse, and she works as a supervisor for this like this elderly nursing home. And it's like that disease.
No chances.
Yeah, that disease ain't going nowhere no time soon. If it's been here this long, the only thing it can do is mutate. So, you know, to say that we need a mask-free society, I mean, I get getting the economy back up and going, whatever, but we got to do it a little bit smarter than what we doing it, because right now, it's like throwing us out to the wolves. Like, all right, you survive. You good to go.
And there's a lot of people that wasn't washing their hands before the rolling. You know, so. But Ginger Snap Decal and Design said, I like cotton sub, just want to be able to cut more intricate details. I've cut a lot of different designs, not square, but I like to be able to cut it like I do vinyl, man. I feel that, man.
In a real way. I mean,
I feel that.
I've actually used that on masks.
Ooh, somebody made over 10,000.
Yeah, I need Joe. Let me get the hook up. I made a lot of money off masks, though. I can't even complain. I made a lot of money off of masks, but I don't know. That was my spending money. I don't even know what I made, but I made a lot of money off of them.
P Brown. I don't know if this is my uncle or if this is one of y'all people's. It says, "We love the masks you made for our sister's homegoing. Thank you so much. We will wear them proud tomorrow."
Oh, well, that's one of mine. Thank you for being here. Y'all welcome.
Yeah, man. Some said buy a sewing machine when the pandemic started. When the pandemic started, I went to go buy a sewing machine. I'm like, man, I'm about to get into this. They didn't have no sewing machines, like in the first few days.
Yeah.
So in my garage, Anthony, I know you out there. Don't say nothing about my garage, Anthony Alexander. But my mother-in-law had gave me a sewing machine a few years ago. It was out of my garage, and I remembered. Went out there, and all this time I had never even started up nothing, and it was like, man, let me thread this thing and see if it worked. Man, it worked just fine.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost spent like a few $100s on a sewing machine. I'm so glad I didn't, because it would be sitting in the corner next to this one. But I'm about to move my space out to my garage. I have more room. I'm gonna set it up and start using it.
Yeah, I was trying to get my mom's sewing machine, and she actually gave me a serger. So that's what I started trying to make masks on at first. But I was like, man, the way these sergers work, I don't know how I can make this mask using this serger, because of how it kind of like cuts and stitches at the same time.
Cutting, so they're more for like seams.
Yeah, but I don't think she had a machine that was working properly. And that's when I found the sewing machine that I had. And I did spend a couple $100s on it. But sewing machines, they was leaving the shelf like toilet paper. I guess people just knew that, yo, now's a good time to get a sewing machine. And I just happened to find that one. But within 2 days, I paid it all off with the profit.
Yeah.
So
it
wasn't a bad investment.
Yeah, I need a serger, man. Sergers are good because they cut and stitch at the same time.
Right.
And anybody that want to do cut and sew, a serger is something that you would use for cut and sew.
Yep. Getting the seams and stuff.
P. Brown says some of the old machines work better. Yeah, I've used some good old machines. I learned how to sew like 10 years ago. And I used to do it like heavy. I used to do it for a job. But I haven't sewn pretty much in like the last 7 years. So man, one more thing, man, we forgot to ask. JBM, tell us about that name before we get up out of here.
Yes, sir.
How my name came about?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
JBM stands for Just Being Me. And at the end of all my videos, like my tagline is for everybody to be themselves and to be their best. Basically, be your best self. When I was thinking about my name, when I was in Texas, I thought about my son, first of all. And then I thought about my nephews, because I tell my son all the time to just be himself. You know, stop trying to be like the next person. Stop trying to mimic this person or that person. Just be who you are and be your best version of you. Because I'm like, you just don't realize how cool of a person you are. Just be you. Right. And I thought about all of my nephews when I was thinking about JBM Design or Just Being Me. Because like I tell my son, as long as you try to be like the next person, you're always going to be second best.
Period.
So yeah, just be yourself. You know,
that's great advice for grown folks too. Y'all pay attention.
Yeah, and like I see my nephews when they look at their idols, whoever they may be, and they try to, you know, we've all done it too. We all been in high school and stuff, and we see somebody, we think they're cool, and we try to mimic that.
Yeah.
So I mean, as far as my nephews, I don't want to see them trying to be like somebody else and then they end up being steered down the wrong direction. When I look at how they are and I know them and I'm like, yo, who you are right now, you're a cool dude. I mean, you cool as you are. Just be true to yourself.
Period.
So JBM, that's what it stands for, and that's really where it stemmed from.
Period. Junior Snap, Decal and Design said he tells his son the same thing. So Deep said, JBM, powerful legacy you're leaving.
Yep.
Yeah,
Definitely. Man, it's been like great having you here, man. If y'all don't follow JBM, y'all go follow him on YouTube. This man shot from 0 to like 25,000 people in like 6 days. Nah, he got some great content, man. You know, so you're going to get a little screen print, little sublimation, little vinyl, man. Y'all go mess with him, man. Go subscribe.
At JBM on Instagram as well. JBM Code Designs, I believe. That is behind you. I'll check them out. We appreciate having you, man. It's been wonderful, and we'd love to get you back for our business edition. We have that.
Yeah, man. Right now we're doing those like every other Tuesday. We got one coming this week.
Y'all having me.
Yeah, man. Anytime, brother. Appreciate you, man. Just keep doing what you're doing, man. You inspiring, man, and you know, and don't stop talking. Don't stop explaining, man. Don't listen to them naysayers, man. Keep doing what you do.
We appreciate everybody that joined us tonight, y'all. Thank y'all. Salute to y'all.
Yeah, appreciate y'all. Blessings.
Yes, sir. Right on, everybody. Y'all have a good night.
Peace. All right, y'all.